following Four Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the Four Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
Hey listener, Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the pod.
All right, sorry about that. I know we started playing a little promo there a little early. You are listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the Four Aces Presents Radio Network. So I do want to thank you for listening in. All right, so let's get to this, man. First and foremost, we got to give a big, everybody out there, cross your arms and bow your head for the honor of the king of Wakanda has passed away. And his name was Chadwick Boseman. He was way more than just the king of Wakanda. At one point in our lives, he was Jackie Robinson. At another point in our lives, he was Thurgood Marshall. At another point in our lives, he was James Brown. This man has held some of the most iconic roles of some of the most iconic black history figures of our time. And that's just been all over the past like 5, 6, 10 years or so. And the past four while doing it, I'll say, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But he basically, his impact went far beyond just that. He just happened to be the person that completely embodied everything that T'Challa was as far as a character. But he as a human being for the last 4 years, while entertaining us as the king of Wakanda, of a fictional African nation, was battling colon cancer. He was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016, which would have been pretty much right after, I believe, the release of Civil War, which was his introduction into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But definitely for Black Panther, for Infinity War, for Endgame, while shooting all of those, he was battling stage 3 colon cancer. Yeah.
Damn. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I personally knew the guy.
Yeah.
Or his impact was utterly life-changing upon me, but I can attest for the fact that I do respect what he's done and what he stands for.
Yeah.
And acting his ass off for 4 years alongside dealing with terminal cancer, I can't even begin to understand the fear that would come with that sort of prospect. And so my heart goes out to him and his family and everything that he's done.
And I'll tell you where, for his fan base and for the people that do kind of, to an extent, feel like they know him, you know, like mm-hmm. I get what you were saying behind that, but I also know this different side of when you like a particular actor, when you watch them in something that does impact you in a certain way, you have a tendency to go down the rabbit hole as far as finding out things about this person and finding out things like one of my favorite videos I ever saw of him that just kind of showed to me what he was more like as a human being, having not known him. You know what I'm saying? But you watch these videos with him, these interviews, so on and so forth. There was I believe it's the Jimmy Fallon show, but it was right as Black Panther came out, and it's a video of like he's standing behind a poster for the movie, and Jimmy has invited people up to stand in front of this poster and give their thoughts on what the movie Black Panther represented to them and what it meant to them. And then after they got done doing it, Chadwick would walk around, and man, his reactions to the things that people were saying about him showed me exactly how real of a human being he is. And that for me is what I grieve. Is I didn't know the man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know. I ain't never sat down and had a conversation with this man. You know, but
Mm-hmm.
seeing how seriously he took the job of what he felt himself he represented, kind of like John, the cat from Star Wars right now, John Boyega. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Finn. He's kind of letting the world see what he is as a human being as opposed to who he is as an actor. And I believe that Chadwick, over his time of massive exposure from the black part of Black Panther, of playing T'Challa, we were able to see the type of human being that he was. And I feel like that's what I mourn the most, is that the world lost a great human being. And it's something that we're lacking in this world today, is a lot of high-profile, great human beings. And not to say there's not plenty of them out there, but there could be a hell of a lot more. And I think that he represented like us losing one of the good ones, kind of like losing Stan Lee. You felt like you kind of knew him because of all the comic books that you read and all the movies that we've seen throughout the years based on his characters. But really, you just kind of felt sad because the world lost somebody that was obviously through and through a good human being. And so, go on.
Oh no, did you have more?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with you, especially on that. I feel like nowadays we're in an age and a really bad time when it comes to high-profile individuals, A to B plus superstars being revealed and pulled out to be people who aren't exactly good and don't do good things.
Yeah.
And Chadwick Boseman was the very good example of someone who wasn't like that at all, who was respectable and seemingly, I'm not going to say he could never do anything wrong, but was very pure and wholesome.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like we lost one of the good ones in an age where there's a lot of people who aren't really being the example that he was and using that platform the same way that he did.
Too many Batmans and not enough Supermans. I hate to say it like that because I'm more of a fan of Batman than I am Superman, but I think this world could use a little bit more of Superman's morals than what they have.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, now we get to the news that everybody's like, can you just wait to talk about this? And no, you can't. The bottom line is, what is Marvel going to do with the Black Panther character moving forward? There's an upswelling movement that in honor of Chadwick, that they should allow Lupita, a.k.a. Shuri, to take over the Black Panther mantle, a la what she did in the comic books. So, I don't know how you feel. I think it would be a great way to write the story. But I think that, yes, I hate to say it, there have been other people from Wakanda that are outside of Shuri as well, other males that have held the Black Panther mantle throughout the years. T'Challa has been the primary one, but there have been others. I think it's time to just close out the T'Challa character and bring in somebody else as a different Black Panther.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best way to honor him. Because I don't think there's anybody else who could play the part as well as him, period.
Yeah, the best thing they can do is not to replace it, but memorialize it. But to push it forward, of course, as we both know, as people who have read comics in and out years and years, that a lot of different people and characters have held the mantle of Black Panther, and there's a lot of different people that can do that, much like Captain America, who was primarily Steve Rogers, but in the comics ended up being replaced by Falcon, Bucky, U.S. Agent, and many more. And
if you want to,
real quick, I don't think it would be too wrong to put Shuri, who had a big role in the character as a whole. We talked about it before, how Black Panther wasn't really the story of Black Panther, T'Challa, the King of Wakanda, but more about Wakanda and the people as a whole.
Right.
And that's what Black Panther as a movie stood for. So I think it would be pretty cool to run with the idea of his sister taking up the mantle. It works with the comics, and I don't see why it's not possible. But bringing in somebody completely else, I wouldn't be opposed to it either, because I know that they're going to do it right, I think.
And I think, being that they do kind of have a little bit of carte blanche freedom at this point to change the comic book stories just the slightest bit. What's his name? From the Jabari. Damn it. I can't remember the character's name.
Oh, you mean the bigger dude, right?
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now, but I think it would be...
Yeah, fuck.
I think it would be great to see him take over the mantle of Black Panther and the King of Wakanda.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Like if you want to, you know what I'm saying? If you want to just go in a different direction, but of course, I believe it should go to Shuri first. Give her her own movie, so on and so forth, as the sequel to Black Panther, so on and so forth. But, at the end of the day, like, you eventually have to pass it. Shuri will go on to do whatever she wanted to do, and I think the story can write itself to move him into that position.
Yeah, I would be more than fine with that.
So there may be some flaws in that, but
I do like. No, yeah, I'm with that idea.
Yeah,
with her trying it out and then not taking it, and then him picking it up.
Like, she gives Shuri something more important to do.
Yeah, much like how they'll take on the mantle early on and then make their own different thing. How Dick Grayson is Robin first, and then he becomes Nightwing and as his own thing, and then fucking Drake. The other Robin before that. I mean, the third Robin after Jason Todd.
Yeah.
How he became Red Robin after. Yeah. Yeah, how she can go do her own thing and then the guy picks it up after. Yep. Okay, that'd be awesome.
Hell yeah. Okay, so here's a little off subject from Black Panther. We're just kind of, we'll stop that there. Check this out.
Of course.
I just found out that basically all of the DC shows, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Flash, all of them are Stargirl. Or no, Stargirl won't be back till next fall. But the next seasons of all the rest won't be starting this September. They're going to be pushed back to January. So that way, basically, their seasons will end right up against, and then the new seasons will start September of next year. So basically, it'll run till the summer, till like June. And then we'll have like a 6-week break where there'll be no episodes, and then all of a sudden you'll get the next new season. And also, I don't know if it's when that's starting, but sometime in the next couple of weeks, Swamp Thing's supposed to be coming to CW. They're going to air the first season of Swamp Thing.
That I look forward to. I don't know about you, but I think Swamp Thing is like the dopest shit in the world.
I never got a chance to watch it. I'm really waiting for them to transfer over, what's that last show that was on there? Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they bring
Brendan
that.
Fraser, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like,
that shit is
I would
so
love to see
good.
that.
That shit is so good, man. I 100% recommend that. Brendan Fraser is the Robo dude, and it's so good. It's so good.
Well, just in one of the rare tidbits that I found out this weekend that interested me, we heard that there was a Suicide Squad movie, and that John Cena was going to be playing Peacemaker. But evidently, what we did not hear is that John Cena is not the only WWE star involved with the Suicide Squad franchise. Evidently, the Suicide Squad video game is going to involve Samoa Joe voicing King Shark.
You can't really see it, but I'm fucking melting right now as I speak.
I do wonder what's going on with him, being that they're kind of keeping him on commentary right now, but I guess this is something that Joe wants to do.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. Let's go, Joe.
Without bridging too much into the second half, Joe, if you don't know, is like fucking huge on video games.
Yeah.
and it's best when he talks about it. And I'm all for this because like Joe's voice is smooth like butter, but like as hard as concrete bricks. You know, I like that shit. And they did a really good job with Killer Croc in the same style of Batman games. And so I'm looking forward to the voice work and what they're going to do with King Shark with that now, because we're both huge Joe marks here.
Anyway.
Have you seen what the graphics look like on that though?
Yes, I have, and it looks amazing. It looks amazing.
It looks spanking. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. All right, so I'm trying to think of what else we got to talk about, because we only got about 20 minutes in underneath the top half of the show. We got a lot of the other show, but I'm not quite ready to go to commercial break. So I'll go on ahead and make this announcement now, though, while we think about some other things to talk about. Oh yeah, we got one more thing to talk about. So this past week, I spent the week kind of chiming in. Didn't realize it was only 12 episodes. That I finished The Legend of Korra Season 1. Never have seen it before, never watched it when it was on originally aired. Just kind of after Avatar, there was none better for me. Didn't feel like hearing it at all.
Not interested, flat out.
Right.
Rightfully so.
So I got a chance to watch it. And I will say this. I missed out on something. Okay? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I wished I had watched it back then, but I missed out on something. It's a pretty good show, at least from what I've seen through the first thing. But you kind of do have to do some personal research in order to make some of the things in the show make sense, because it raises certain questions about the missing years. Because it's like, what, I want to say something like 40 or 50 years ahead of Avatar. When you jump into Korra. So like, yeah, like Aang's passed, obviously, because there's a new Avatar, and she's grown up, you know, or she's starting to grow up. She's a teenager. Now, the one thing I will say is different, and it's something I can talk about without talking about a lot of spoilers. We can get into spoilers on another episode. This definitely had more teenage and adult themes to it than the original Avatar, which to me was probably purposely done because of the fact that they felt that the most likely people to watch it were going to be the fans of Avatar, who are now a little bit more grown up. So you can't feed them the same kids show that you fed them with Avatar, even though Avatar wasn't.
It wasn't childish, but it was.
It was geared towards children.
Yeah, it was a child-geared show at the end of the day.
Yeah. You know, and so this was geared more towards teenagers, which, like I said, I understand is a progression of writers. You were writing for children before, who were 5, 6, 7, 8, who after 3, 4 years are now 10, 11, 12, 13, and getting into teenage years, so they're able to see and comprehend more adult-like themes. But it's weird to me, though. Korra. I also finished watching The Gifted, and I kept getting this eerie feeling in my stomach. All right, this eerie feeling in my stomach that that The Gifted and Korra, the rhetoric, I've heard it before. There's a lot of like similarities to modern day life in the things that you hear from some of the villains in both, and some of the things that are done in both series. And we'll get into The Gifted later. Like, that was an excellent series by Marvel, and I'm completely pissed off at the writers because they finished the series with a cliffhanger that we'll never see the ending to, and it was super cool. So, okay, here, spoiler alert. Have you ever watched The Gifted?
I have not, but please go ham.
Okay. If you haven't seen it, go on Hulu and watch it. It should still be there. I bought it on Amazon. It was like $8 a season. They ended it with, I don't know if you know who the Marvel character Blink is.
Oh, yes.
Okay. but they make you
Yes.
think that Blink dies like an episode or two before the series finale, right? And at the last minute, Thunderbird comes running out from this warehouse where they're talking about starting a new mutant underground with all the people from the old underground, right?
Hmm.
And they're talking about starting a mutant underground, and and they go outside, and Blink jumps out of this portal. You see this dystopian like thing behind her of like buildings on fire and shit, and she's like, "I've got something I got to show you guys. You guys are needed. You need to come with me." And then she steps through the portal, and that's the end of the episode. So
Fucked
obviously,
up.
I can't be too mad at the writers because obviously they didn't know they were about to be canceled when they wrote that episode and shot that
Yeah.
episode. Obviously, they didn't realize that, or maybe they figured they would develop such a groundswell for it after that ending that the network would have to bring it back. I don't know what they were thinking, but I'm left here like, what the guys?
You bastard.
Uh,
That's fucked up.
it kind of
That's so fucking cool.
staying in pop culture reference too. There's an episode of Big Bang Theory where Sheldon gets a hold of the writer for the series Alphas, right? And he's like, you ended the series on a cliffhanger. Can you please tell me where you were planning on going with that cliffhanger? And he's like, okay, okay. Well, now I understand why they canceled you. Thanks, bye. He hangs up on him, and I'm like, dang, that's cold. That's so cold. But anyway,
Fucking icy.
but needless to say, getting back to The Gifted, yeah, it was just a hell of a way to end what was really good series. They had developed these characters from the Von Struckers to Polaris, and I can't think of the name. Marcos was the name of his character, but I don't know if he really existed in the X-Men universe. I know Thunderbird did because I've read about him in the comic books. I recognize him right away, even though he kind of looked like Nightwing from Mortal Kombat. But don't get it twisted.
Oh
say,
fuck! I remember Thunderbird now.
Yeah.
I know what the fuck you're talking about. Holy shit! That's not that same thing.
like,
I
okay,
remember
dude.
thinking, I was like, shit, that Nightwolf. Damn it!
Oh man, like I'm just like it was like I said, but overall it's a great show. If you ever get a chance to go watch it, go watch it. It's worth it. They actually developed two characters that didn't really exist, as far as I know, in the Marvel universe in the younger Von Strucker twins. Because the name Von Strucker, while watching that thing, always sounded weird to me. Like I knew
I
it
was
from
gonna say
somewhere
Von
else.
Strucker is actually that's a Captain America villain.
Right, he's
The
the
original.
leader of Hydra.
Yeah, Von Strucker was a Captain America villain in back like the 70s and 60s, and they brought him back briefly for the Ultimate. I remember.
Now the Gifted surrounds the Von Strucker family. Like now, I've done enough research to know that their grandparents actually existed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Their names, they were the Von Strucker twins, and they were a thing when they came together. They were this power called Fenris, and they could like level buildings, right? Well, the Gifted is basically about like their grandchildren, their great grandchildren having basically the exact same power.
Dope.
Like, they can do exactly what their grandparents could do separately, and their powers actually work like quite well together. But it's devastating, and like literally, like they can level a building in seconds when they combine their powers.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Shit, it's on Hulu. You said
it's on Hulu. Yes, there's also an appearance by the Hellfire Club.
nice.
So, like, I didn't know until I watched The Gifted, and I went and did the research that Polaris, one of my favorite female characters from the X-Men universe, is actually the daughter of one of the members of the Hellfire Club, one of the original members.
It's fucking dope.
Yeah.
The X-Men is an interesting web of character connections.
It is very well done. But once again, like people said, I saw this thing a while back that said if you think comics aren't political, then you haven't been paying attention. Like the X-Men was basically written about the civil rights movement. Like a lot of people don't know that. I don't know how, but like they don't make that connection.
Yeah. It's like when people are like, bro, keep politics out of punk rock music. Like, you know what the fuck it's about.
Rage Against the Machine, my friend.
Say it slower for me.
You know?
Repeat that.
I love it when people try to get on Tom Morello for getting political. Like, just stick to your music, man. Your music's great, but don't be political. Sir, have you ever listened to our music? Like, actually turned it on and listened to it. Like, you don't think
what this is all about, sir?
You know, we don't actually mean like pigs on parade. Like we're referencing something here. like, don't understand that.
Hate that shit.
Not to mention the fact Tom Morello is like he's got like multiple degrees from Harvard. Like,
I was gonna say, doesn't he actually have a degree in fucking? I want to say history, some form of some form of socio-political.
Yeah.
Fucking branch, right?
So, but yeah. So yeah, guys, think about this before you say it, please. All right, so that can wrap us up. So we to finally wrap us up, we're gonna make the announcement for the first half of the show. Mm-hmm. In the coming weeks, in what I'm calling a Remember His Name marathon, me and Alpha here are gonna review most of Chadwick Boseman's catalog, starting with the Jackie Robinson biopic 42. We're going to save the Black Panther movies, the Black Panther movie, Civil War, Infinity War, and all of that for last. So it's going to be a while before we're going to be talking about those. But we've got some good ones.
For the most
part,
it's going to be his. It's going to be his. What would you call that? His cinema anthology. Mostly within chronological order.
Pretty much. So that's going to start next week with 42. So if you like that movie, go ahead and tune in to hear what we have to say about it. But now we got to get to some wrestling, because in a few hours here, being that we're recording on Sunday morning, and actually while we're live on air right now, while we've been talking to you for the past half hour, the Payback pay-per-view has been going on. So let's get to it. We're going to go to commercial break and get to it.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 4Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
Hey, listener. Dutch here from Voice from the Underground, the podcast. My co-host and I want to invite you to check out our little corner of the podcast verse. At Voice from the Underground, we talk about all the crazy happening around us and try to make a little bit of sense out of the nonsense with little to no results. If the idea of hearing three semi-intelligent, outspoken nerds talk about politics, social issues, current events, sports, movies, pretty much anything that we decide to talk about because, well, it's our show, appeals to you, grab your shovel and come on down to the underground, and then consult a qualified psychotherapist. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, just not where you buy your weed.
Voice from the Underground.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled D-A, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Raw and SmackDown from this week and the Payback review.
Sweet. You mean Payback card? Yeah, we'll talk Payback card.
Yeah, Payback card, sorry. Preview, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so, here we go. Payback is happening this week. Raw was pretty good, man. All right, for a go-home episode immediately after a pay-per-view, it was pretty damn good. You got a specific reason why Drew McIntyre would not be giving Randy Orton his rematch at Payback. Okay, we all know the behind-the-scenes thing is because they want this pay-per-view to be all about Roman Reigns. But they gave us a good reason for why Drew McIntyre is not on the card, being that he got punted in the head not once, not twice, but 3 times by Randy Orton on Monday night. And I'll give him credit.
Concussion.
Yeah, I'll give him credit because he took the first 2, which, by the way, yeah, Randy completely missed on the second one. Randy, he got back up after the first 2. Which showed that, he had dexterity, and then Randy put him down because he came and he got involved in the Randy Orton-Keith Lee match. Which, by the way, we had the debut of Keith Lee on the main roster. I love it. Bound in his glory. Yeah, baby. Keith Lee was the bomb, baby. I don't care. Everybody's just to stop everybody that's all pissed off about the fact that the man had his theme song changed. Get over it. There's a reason for it, and it's a business reason, and I know this sucks, but it's what happens when you're dealing with a business. I guess whoever were the producers that WWE was dealing with that created the Keith Lee, whatchamacallit, they are no longer working with those producers anymore. So they're trying to discourage the talent that got, I want to say,
the theme's done by them, right?
Yeah, but the WWE's trying to get them to stop using the themes and use new ones. And this one was what was created for Keith Lee for the time being. And even Keith Lee told fans online, like, calm down. I'll get it worked out. And so that's just basically what it boils down to. But I love seeing him on there. Now he jumps immediately into his first pay-per-view match, or his first main roster pay-per-view match, against one of the best guys in the business and one of the biggest heels in the biz. So, like, when you look at it like that, everybody's like, oh, look at that, they're already burying Keith Lee. Stop it, man. Stop it. The man's had one appearance, and he came off looking hella strong in it, in the promo off against Randy Orton. Trading promos with Randy Orton. He came out looking real good. And even in his match, he came out looking strong. Drew didn't interfere because Keith Lee was losing. Drew interfered because he was just that pissed off at Randy Orton.
That's it.
So, just like that. So, Raw was pretty good. You said you saw most of SmackDown, right?
Yeah. Real quick, though. I've heard, if you notice that when Keith Lee debuted, I've heard a lot of people say that he had his jacket, his thingy covering him, because Vince doesn't want him to be fully exposed and people to see, like, Keith Lee the way he is or some shit is what I've heard. And I don't know about that.
I don't know if that's something that was actually said to him. Because unless it came from Keith Lee, I'm a little suspect on that. Because if he's okay with it, if he's okay with being covered up because, it presents a better image of him to the audience for Vince, then all right. He was on NXT wearing no shirt, so I don't see why it should be a big deal, for him to be on the main roster not wearing a shirt, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, also another storyline that developed rather nicely on Monday night that I liked. I love the whole Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax hate each other so much that they just going at it. They're going at it. They're going at it until they both find a common enemy in Shayna and Sasha Banks and Bayley. Very well written storyline on that one. That those two were just at each other's throats, like beating the snot out of each other. And then Bayley and them were off to the side cheering it on. And then all of a sudden, both of them woke up and realized, wait a minute, we both hate them. And so it will be Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax taking on Bayley and Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship, or for the Tag Team Championship. And I fully expect the Golden Role Models to drop the belts.
You really think so?
Oh, yeah. I think all of this is leading to most likely at Survivor Series or WrestleMania, Bayley versus Sasha, depending on how long they want to drag out the storyline, Bayley versus Sasha for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Because the SmackDown title is the only thing that Sasha has not won.
That is true, isn't it?
She's won the Raw belt multiple times. She's won the she was an NXT champion, and she's won the tag team belts. The only thing she's missing is the SmackDown belt.
Oh shit, you're right. Bayley is the only person to have won both belts, with the exception of Charlotte and Alexa.
Yep.
You're right. Sasha hasn't done it, because when they were trading the Raw Women's Championship in 2016, that was just the Raw Women's Championship. She never went over and got the SmackDown one. Holy shit, you're right. I never realized that.
So that's why I think, like I said, after I saw the way SummerSlam went down, remember when we were giving our review of SummerSlam, I said it. I was like, this is the beginning of the end for the Golden Role Models. The only question is, how long are they going to drag it out before we get to Sasha versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship?
Damn. I don't think they'll drop it though. My prediction is honestly that they'll retain. They'll take the championships home. And then
I think if they retain, it's going to be by DQ.
Yeah, I think it'll be via some top-tier fucking heelery. Yes, of course. I don't think it's going to be clean at all. But I do believe that they're not going to lose the titles. They're going to retain tonight. I think they're going to lose the titles between now and Survivor Series. And I think, that is going to lead to Sasha versus Bayley for the SmackDown title.
Well, if they do drop it, please, Lord, let it be to the combination of Baszler and Jax.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Because I would love to see those two running shop in the women's tag team division, and I just don't think Shayna's quite ready for that. Yeah, you were NXT champion for a long, long time, but I just don't think she's quite there yet. I don't think she's paid her dues on the main roster yet to immediately jump into that championship spot. So,
the best thing that they can do is build up Shayna as a fucking force and actually build a following behind her first.
Yep.
Because remember, what was the biggest fucking problem with Ronda Rousey?
Is they just inserted her into the top of the card because of her stardom. Like, yeah, she had skills, don't get me wrong.
Straight up the gate.
But it was but her early matches they're rough to watch. Like, you fear for people because Ronda wasn't sloppy, but you could tell that she was green, and she was nervous. So, like I said, the biggest mistake that they've made, and I've mentioned this tons of times, you can go back and listen to the Raw Impact Unleashed episodes and everything else, and I can tell you right now, I've consistently said that their biggest mistake, Shayna Baszler is what Ronda Rousey should have been had they done Ronda Rousey right and brought her up through NXT first.
If you remember, actually, the very, very first time that I was ever in any capacity recording with you, that was what we talked about first.
Yep.
The very first time that you had me on the show with Cole, the very first thing we opened with was, what do you think about Ronda? We all equally agreed that she was too fucking green to be way up there and that high on the fucking card.
That she should have been, you can give her the WrestleMania match with her and Kurt Angle. But then after that WrestleMania match, she should have been immediately demoted down to NXT. I hate to say that, because you're coming off of that something hot. But also, and remember, at that point, they're trying to get eyes on NXT. as a rising product. So why not take her and put her where she's with a bunch of other wrestlers who can teach her more, teach her what to do during a promo, how to cut a promo. Because I'm sorry, Ronda, your promos were rough to listen to. They just were.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the same as just talking shit at a UFC, you know, when somebody's got a UFC mic in front of you. You know, it's something completely different. And so, especially when it's scripted, like, it's more like being an actress. And I'm sorry, like, you fit your role in Fast and Furious, but let's not sit here and say that Ronda Rousey was by any way a good actress. In either of her roles in the what was it? Not The Incredibles. What was that? The one with Sylvester Stallone, The Expendables. She was okay in The Expendables, but like, she just wasn't.
And even then, if you want to look outside of live action, you want to look at her voice roles. Her role as Sonya Blade in MK11 is
rough.
Without a doubt, my least favorite incarnation of the character, because it is that choppy and flat at times.
And it's not her fault. Like, she just didn't have enough practice with it before they threw her into the main stage. You know, she got lifted up to a level where she really shouldn't have been because of her raw star power. And luckily, the other wrestlers that were around her, and female and male, embraced it instead of being jealous of her. You know, because they did see. I'm not going to sit here and say Ronda didn't put in work. You know, they were saying Ronda used to put in training sessions back when she was still in the UFC. She used to put in pro wrestling training sessions. You know, so because of that, like, yeah, she may have had the skill, but you could see how green she was, and I think she would have been better served wrestling down. You could, like I said, you could have given her a Shayna type run. You could have even had her dethrone Shayna.
Or vice versa.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but you had a lot of work to go with there. And just like I said about the Raw Underground missing something, because they had somebody like a Shayna Baszler in there, like a Sonya Deville, and they really didn't do anywhere near what they could have done with her. So
I don't know if you've heard recently though about that.
What?
I have heard recently though that Shane McMahon is a little frustrated because he doesn't have control over Raw Underground as much as he was promised.
Really?
Apparently Vince is micromanaging even down to Raw Underground.
That's
and so Shane
Vince.
Really,
Vince, let your son do his thing.
Do it. Exactly, like that really makes me think now, like, how good this could have been.
Yeah. So, and I won't say Vince ruins wrestling, because Vince put wrestling on the map. Let's be real, folks. Give respect where respect is due. If there was no Vince McMahon, we wouldn't know wrestling as it exists today. There's a lot of old school people that be like, yeah, but it'd be cool like back in the territory days. But was it really that cool back in the territory days?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Was
like evidently, wrestling wasn't too mainstream at the time that Vince stepped into it, because Vince made it a global phenomenon. So, and I don't think it becomes a global phenomenon without somebody like Vince. I don't think if there is no WrestleMania, I don't think wrestling is as popular as it is. And WrestleMania was a brainchild of Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So
you can't take away the golden age, and you can't take away the respect and the effect that the territory days and the WWF and the NWA and Vince McMahon Sr. all had on wrestling. But you can't say that Vincent Kennedy McMahon today, president of the WWE, hasn't turned wrestling into a global fucking giant.
Now, there is a certain disconnect between him and his audience, as there would be a disconnect between a 75-year-old man and a 35 and below year old audience. Like I would expect there should be a disconnect there. If there's not, either one group is too old or one group is acting way too young. But
there's a problem.
There's a problem there. But I do agree that Vince needs to learn. I think Shane is that middle ground, and I think a lot of people disagree with me there. But I do. I think Shane is that middle ground. That Shane knows what would appeal to a younger crowd, but he still knows how to book it in that old school mentality. You get your heels over, you know what I'm saying? You get your faces over, you tell a story, you build things, so on and so forth. I think Shane is somebody that's capable of doing that. Now,
Shane gets it.
yeah. Okay, so now moving on to the next match. We got this United States Championship feud between the Hurt Business and Apollo Crews that's been going on for now like 2 months now. It went on for a month without even Apollo Crews being there. But this week we got, or this pay-per-view, we got Apollo Crews taking on Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. And let me say this. I like the way the WWE is making the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship workman titles again.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely enjoy that. But this is a match. I'm going to give a split answer. What I mean by split answer is that the last part of it is my actual prediction, but the first half of it is what my heart wants. My heart wants Apollo Crews to retain the championship because I feel like he deserves it. But I think Bobby Lashley is going to win.
Yeah. I'm a very vocal advocate of the boy Apollo. I feel like he is the most one of the most underrated dudes on the roster and has been for the past 5 years now. It feels like. But I know damn well that Lashley is probably going to eat this man alive. Yeah, and the end game of this feud was probably just to make Lashley reminded to be the monster that he really fucking is. Mm-hmm. And I do hope at least that someone backstage has taken something to Apollo with his recent performance, because I do think this is probably the best run of his career so far with the U.S. Championship in terms of match quality and consistency and exposure as a character, finally. So I hope that someone picks that up, much like how Jinder Mahal, after his World Championship reign, was at least seen as something worth getting the U.S. title with. Yeah. Or pushing a little bit. I hope at least someone looks at Apollo and just at least sticks him in the undercard or just keeps him around in some capacity. That's my hope. But I do predict that this is going to end with probably some heel fuckery from MVP and old boy Lashley squishing this man like a Coke can.
I could see Shelton Benjamin losing the 24/7 championship though at some point during this match.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
We'll see. All right, so we'll save that match for last. Keith Lee and Randy Orton was a huge part of Raw this week and how we got there. And I expect it to be a hell of a match because the match that they were having on Raw was pretty damn good up until Drew McIntyre interfered. I could see another finish similar to that, but I don't think so. I think if Drew McIntyre does come out, it will be to help Keith Lee win, but he won't get caught by the ref this time. Mm-hmm. And but I don't think you need, if you're going to give Keith Lee the win, I don't think you need McIntyre to come out. Because I think you're trying to put Keith Lee over as a monster face. So
if they're smart just this one time about booking a white meat purebred babyface, they will. I wouldn't say this would be ruined if Randy goes over clean, but they have to book Lee as a valiant hero.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The way that Keith Lee works is he is this valiant, Herculean-esque character, you know? And you have to book him as such, otherwise this isn't going to be believable. Nor am I saying Lee needs to go over, or this is not going to fucking work.
Yep.
But you can't book Lee like you would the baby faces like you usually would in WWE.
Right.
Because they don't book baby faces very well, for one, and they treat them like pansies, and that's never fucking good. So best case scenario is Keith Lee still comes out of this looking like the fucking Hulk that he is.
I say only way he loses is if he loses strong, but I hope he wins the match, because it's just momentum, and also But here's the problem with it. is you've already booked Randy Orton as this monster heel. So are we really saying Keith Lee is the one that has it in him to get to
topple it?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've already booked Orton as this monster heel. So the question now comes is what to do with this. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I hope Keith Lee wins, but I don't know.
But what do you predict though? What do you predict? Give me a shot.
I predict Orton wins through some heel fuckery. That's what I predict.
Yeah, I predict we're going to see a good match, and we're going to see Lee come out looking really, really strong, and we're going to see him have a lot of momentum with the match, and it's going to be swinging in his favor. And then last minute, some shit is going to happen, and Randy Orton's going to pull it out of his ass.
Pretty much. So, all right. So on to the next match. The one and only Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio, the Mysterio father-son combo, takes on Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, and Murphy, which they've given us some great weeks, but this is where it needs to end. I hate to say it, but it's true. This is just where it needs to end. I understand them giving us one more week. I thought it should have been over at SummerSlam. And I understand them giving us one more week. I think, unfortunately, we're going to end up seeing Dominic and Seth again one-on-one for Survivor Series. But in my personal opinion, this is where it needs to end. But probably won't.
Yeah, they have the tendency to make things drag out a little bit longer than they should be, to the point where it's not as enjoyable. But
well, the thing that made me think that is the loss at SummerSlam. I think if Dominic Mysterio had gotten a win, I think that would have been the end of it right there.
Mm.
But since he took that loss, I'm like, okay, we're going to get more of this shit.
Yeah, this is going to be going for a while.
Yeah.
But I think Dominic does have a lot to prove. But I think for the most part, he's done a very good job with what's been given.
Oh.
I heard that Brock was adamant and actually very happy to sell his ass off for Dominic when Dominic did the 619 and the Splash. For what it's worth, we talked about it earlier, but I actually really like how he performed at SummerSlam. I thought he did fucking great. And so the best case scenario is they keep him in either matches like that, where he can have Ray or someone go in and out of the match to pick up the slack, or they put him in multi-man matches.
Yeah.
So you have multiple people to be keeping the gears moving and be in front of the camera when he can't be 100% of the time.
Exactly.
So I think it's smart to run him with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, two very good fucking workers, and men that could easily carry him, and Rey Mysterio, who is Rey fucking Mysterio, 15-year veteran, so of course you know the ins and outs of this.
You got your dad literally sitting there giving you tips and hints throughout the match, like things to do.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to say that this isn't going to be a technically sound match, but that does mean that it hooks and it anchors on the story that they go with it and how entertaining that is. So what happened with Brock was actually pretty entertaining. So I have some pretty high hopes for this. And best case scenario is we don't see this drag on for 6 more fucking months.
No, because I wouldn't. If this ain't it, then Survivor Series gotta be it. Period. That's all I can say. If it does lead to the Survivor Series match that I'm talking about, then it's got to be it. Because don't drag this on to WrestleMania. Like, I'll be pissed if we're still dealing with this feud, or at least go away from it for a little bit and then have them come back to each other again. I don't know, but I can't deal with 6 straight more months of this shit. Not that it's a bad storyline. It just drags on.
Don't draw it out.
Too much of a good thing. The next matchup I've been waiting to see. They've given us a decent build-up to it, and it should make for a good match. But Matt Riddle versus King Corbin. It should make for a good match in general.
I do have a question for you after we talk about this match, though.
Okay.
But I'm quite looking forward to this. At very least, I think it'll be pretty entertaining because they have some good stuff with Riddle as a character. And they put a lot of stock into Corbin as a character. Yeah. So I think at very least this will be entertaining. But in the worst way, they rely on the physicality of it. Corbin can't really keep up with Riddle, in my opinion, in terms of physicality. But best case scenario is they run it like that. And I think it'll be good, and I think Riddle's going over. I think they're going to try to build Riddle.
Oh, I think all of this has been about Riddle getting over. Like, and I'm, you know what? Corbin has grown. I don't like him as a character, but Baron Corbin, or whatever his actual name is, he has won me over as far as him as a wrestler. Because he's down to go out here and be this heel that nobody really likes. You know what I'm saying? The dude's talented, but I wouldn't say he's super talented in the ring. He's got talent for sure, but he's not super talented. But he sells the hell out of his character, and he's willing to put over whatever babyface they put in front of him.
The way I see it, he is one of the safest workers they have. You can't refute that.
Yeah. You know, so he's earned my respect. Not that he ever gave a damn, but he's earned my respect.
I think Corbin has proved himself as a pretty apt player in the current state of WWE's product.
Yeah.
And so, to bridge from that, I do have a question.
What's that?
Do you think Corbin is ready for a main event level feud? Like, would you be pleased with Corbin in the world title picture?
Nah. I hate to say it, but I really don't see his character as taking off any further than like high mid card. Like, I could see him in a feud over the IC title. I could see him in a feud over the US title. He's just not. I don't see it. Not for either of the top titles. Maybe over at AEW. I could see him going for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. But
Baron Corbin?
WWE, yeah. Like, not in real life, you know, not him going over there with the King Corbin character. I'm just saying. Like, I could see, like, as far as his skill level goes, to me, yeah. AEW title, yeah, but WWE Universal.
Yeah, I'm connected to that.
Nah. I think and that's something that a lot of people don't think about and respect when they're talking about AEW versus WWE, is that compared to the Goliath that is WWE, AEW is minor league. So if Corbin goes to there, he's a big fish in a small pond. Because he's already got his name. He's already people know him. People know he can work. People know he can work safe. He makes a great heel. You know, he knows that he's developed his character and all that. So he goes to AEW. He's a big fish in a small pond, or in a small pond. In WWE, he's that proverbial medium-sized fish in a very large pond. And so, being the talent that he's working against there, I don't. And you know, there may be main eventers in WWE who completely disagree with me, but my personal feeling is that Baron Corbin doesn't deserve, like, he's not at that main event level.
Yeah, and in my opinion, best case scenario is they use him as a really good mid card heel.
Yeah.
I really fucking loved his run with the U.S. title in 2017, 2018. I don't know if you remember, but it was way back then. But he had a pretty short run with it. But I liked the visual, and I liked the idea of him having the U.S. championship and making the capital out of being a mid-card champion, whether it be the IC title or the U.S. title, pick one. And going back to what you said, I love the idea that the IC title and the U.S. titles are the workman's championships. Yeah. Those are the horsemen's championships, you know?
Yep.
Eddie Guerrero and
Triple
the Boys,
H.
and you think about people like The Miz, who were literally kicked out of the locker room and have since made a career off of the IC title. Yeah. I can see Baron doing that, absolutely.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Y'all dumbasses need to stop comparing The Miz and MJF. Even though there are similarities, The Miz is what MJF will develop into when he becomes a level 20 Pokemon. Okay? Just understand that. Just so I can put it in your little millennial references. Okay? The Miz is what MJF hopes to be one day. All right? I'm tired of all these comparisons. Oh, he's just as good as The Miz, man. No, he's not. MJF gets on my nerves for completely different reasons than The Miz did.
Yeah. Like, like MJF is like the Miz is what happens when you trade MJF at level 40 wielding a focus sash.
Pretty
all right?
much. Yes. Yes.
No, but you're right though. I thought about it. I'm sorry, but like flipping off children, spitting on kids, spitting your gum at them, that's not good heel work. You're just a fucking prick. You're just an asshole for that.
And
I'm
get
sorry,
it. They're
like
leaning
straight up,
into it.
I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I love good heel work, and I love banter with the crowd. Like, I'm a big ECW fan, and one of my favorite promos of all time was ECW Heat when fucking Bubba Ray Dudley went out there and talked shit to the crowd and said the worst shit. That's one of my favorites. But just like flipping off kids and being that blatant about it, that's a bit much. Whereas The Miz is literally one of the cleanest and slated heels that has been around in the longest fucking time.
Oh yeah. Well, there's only been one other heel that I've ever seen that was so white hot, and that was Elias when he would open every match insulting the local town or their local sports team, and they went to Seattle. And him and Kevin Owens got to talking about the Supersonics. You couldn't hear what they were saying. They were being booed out the building so hard. Like they had mics on and the volume was up, and you still couldn't hear what they were saying because the crowd was booing so loud.
The TV version was actually the cut version. It was more like that for like 15 minutes straight, just unending crowd belting on them, dude.
And that was white hot heat. White Elias during those days used to catch white hot heat, and I loved it.
Yes,
that was being a good heel.
Great.
You know what I'm saying? And yes, he was a jerk. He was a jerk to the crowds, but he did it in a charming way. And there's just nothing charming about MJF. There isn't. There's not his wrestling style, not the way he acts. Like, good for him. I'm better than you, and you know it. Good for you. Who gives a shit? Like, why am I supposed to be invested in this? Like, this is garbage. But yeah, I just had to say
I like the idea that MJF is supposed to be like the high school jock level heel, but he is good in ring. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
As a character, I separate that completely from his in-ring work, because his in-ring work is pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
And being a heel in the ring, he knows how to work it. Yeah. But outside of the ring, he just thinks that being an asshole blatantly is being a good heel, and it's just like that's not how this works, man.
And don't give me that. Oh, he's just selling his character 24/7. No, he's just being a dick because he wants to be a dick. It's pretty much what it boils down to. I've known guys like that. They were just like, you know what? It just feels good to go out and be mean to people. Really now?
Yeah.
I think we need to stop hanging out.
Just an asshole, man.
Okay, but getting back focused on this thing, the next matchup has kind of been being built over the past couple of weeks loosely, but it's Big E taking on Sheamus. And I don't know. Like, I'm liking what they're doing with Big E. I really do. I just don't understand why they're disrespecting him so much. Like, Big E was a powerhouse singles competitor long before he ever became a part of the New Day.
Yeah, like, the worst part about all of this is they were like, Big E, you're going to be our dude. We're going to push you as a single star. Kofi was like, go fight as a single star. Go do it alone. We'll be right behind you the whole time. And then they bring you Big E, who comes out with New Day gear and the New Day theme, acting like he's still with everybody around. And it's like, it would have been cool to, like, maybe don't harken back to where he was before and put on the red tights again.
Yeah.
But like, give me something that sets him apart just a little bit. Then, if you're going to try to push him as a single star, you know what I mean?
Now they're giving him some big victories. I'll give him that. He's been getting some big victories over the past couple of weeks. But I agree with you. Like, I think there should be some slight changes and tweaks to his persona. Like, I agree that, like, maybe there should be a darker side to the New Day. You know, a more serious side, kind of like what they did with Kofi during his run with the championship. Even though I was impressed to find out that actually our friend of the show, Jamil, actually thinks that they did wrong by Kofi during his run. They didn't book him as a strong champion, and I do understand what he means. But I enjoyed seeing Kofi have the belt, so I was kind of in nostalgia in dreamland just because he had the belt. So I don't really look at his run from an unbiased point of view.
Mhm.
But I kind of see some.
Believe Kofi Mania was pushed to the moon, but he was kind of pushed like Rey Mysterio was when he won the World Championship back in 2007. Do you remember that when he was hyped up to the moon that he won it, and then Mark Henry, Big Show were all put over him while he still held the belt.
Yeah.
And that does correlate to how fast Kofi lost the belt, I guess. I can see that. I can see that.
I can
Sorry,
see it.
go on.
But I could see them doing something like I could see them making it a slow change because it all depends on how. Like they're talking about Xavier may never come back. You know his injury was so bad. Yeah. Well, they were talking that when he first got injured, that the end of that type of injury and how bad it was. There's a good chance Xavier may never really see in-ring action again. Even though there's no saying you can't bring him back as basically the mouthpiece and manager for the New Day. For Kofi and Big E.
We just saw Tyson Kidd nearly die a few years back, and he's already gearing up to be back in the ring. So, never say never with this shit.
Very true. You know, especially with all the technology they have. But he's got tons of other projects he's doing with WWE right now too. Isn't he hosting Smack Talk on Saturdays?
Talking Smack is coming back, led by Chuck, Charlie Caruso, and Xavier Woods.
So we'll see a lot of Xavier without seeing him in ring.
Yeah. I really hope, if you remember in the very beginning, Talking Smack was not scripted. Okay. So I'm hoping and praying that they will do that again.
All right. That'll work for me. I love anything that's not scripted. And then finally...
Right.
I expect Big E to go over Sheamus, just because that's kind of Sheamus' role right now. So Jeff Hardy went over him. I expect Big E to go over him. He kind of has that King Corbin role where he's just the bad guy that's there to get the good guys over.
And you know what? He's fucking good at it.
Yes, he is. So lastly, we got the pre-show match, which is the newly formed Re-Riot Squad without Sarah Logan taking on the Iconics because they've been feuding. And I assume the EST of Monday Night Raw will be showing up at some point. She's been involved in that feud too.
The EST of Monday Night Raw just does not hit the same way, goddammit.
The EST. She needs to drop the EST thing and just be Bianca Belair. Like I understand it worked in NXT, but I don't think it's something that's going to go over as well on the main roster because you're appealing to a little bit older of a crowd on the main roster.
Yeah.
So I think they need to drop the EST thing and either come up with something new or just let her be Bianca Belair because her in-ring work speaks for itself. The girl's damn good in ring.
In ring, yes.
You know,
and that's my problem. Bianca Belair is pretty damn good in ring. But in terms of character, without bringing up where they're from and what they look like, tell me the difference between the character of Mia Yim and Bianca Belair.
Not much. Not much. Shit, I can even cross promotions. There's not much of a difference between the character of Big Swole and Bianca Belair.
Fucking honestly.
I believe, weren't they in a clique together, like on the independent circuit?
Were they?
No. There was a different. Sorry,
sense.
No. It was a different actress that I've seen, or not actress, but wrestler that I've seen live in the independents in the Bay Area. Nicole Savoy was Little Swole to Big Swole's Big Swole, I guess, in the women's tag team tournament.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
There was Little Swole and Big Swole. I completely blanked and went a completely different way with it. My bad. But yeah, I expect the Ruby Riott and the Riot Squads to get that victory just because of the way they've been writing her character recently.
Yeah, they've been pushing that team as a big comeback sort of thing. And they've pushed that team pretty heavily before now that I think about it. So I can see them coming out of this with the win.
So, all right. So all that being said, we get down to what will be the main event in the final match of the night. And it brings me up to my favorite subject that I've been wanting to talk about all show.
Oh, I've been waiting. Come on.
That is the ending to this week's Friday Night SmackDown, in which we saw the one and only Paul Heyman as the new advocate and voice for Roman Reigns. That's right. You can rewind it. You can put it back as many times you heard me right. Paul Heyman is now the advocate for Roman Reigns. I talked to your boy Cole. shortly after this was announced, and me and him discussed how on the Raw Impact Unleashed we had many times over discussed the necessity to put Roman Reigns with the mouthpiece and how Paul Heyman would be the perfect mouthpiece. I'm going to say something right quick. We should have saw this coming.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm going to say that is this, and it's not going to be what you think. The reason why we should have saw this coming is because of the shirt that Roman was wearing. When he showed up at SummerSlam.
Like wreck shirt. Everyone and leave, right?
Doesn't that sound familiar?
Oh fuck. Oh shit.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
Right. Fuck. I didn't think about that.
I'm like,
it was in our faces all along.
We should have known as soon as we saw that shirt what was about to happen next.
It's literally fucking Brock's shirt, but rephrased.
Pretty much. Eat, conquer, sleep, repeat. Wreck everyone and leave. Sounds kind of similar to me. Don't get me wrong. I didn't.
They played us.
They did. I didn't put this together until after the fact. I want to say like about a couple of hours ago. I put that together. I was like, oh, because I want one of those new Roman Reigns shirts because I like that. Wreck everyone and leave. Like that's just awesome.
It's so fun. I love that shit.
But yeah, but nah. And then the way that they did it, and I love the little. Okay, so you've seen SmackDown, right? You saw that little last segment on SmackDown. Okay, and how they have Roman look up and he's like, because when I get done wrecking shop at Payback, you can bet. That's not and when he started going into, that's not a spoiler. And I was like, really?
Oh,
really? He was like, that's a
promise.
Yeah, and then Paul leans in, and you can believe that. I was like, yeah, shit's about to get good. Shit's about to get good. I think WWE is trying to capitalize on the fact that SmackDown's ratings have been going up over the past few weeks. So they're trying to capitalize on that by doing something that everybody wanted. Because I think, to me, the addition of Paul Heyman... Okay, let me say it like this. Roman Reigns will never be a true heel. He'll never be a true heel. But this is about as close to a heel turn as we're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, go on.
You know that part in SpongeBob where, like, I forget the episode, but it basically ends with a fish just like, this is what we've been waiting for all along.
Yeah.
This is that.
Yes,
this is that. This is that. And, yeah, no, we have been talking about this for a long time, how it was literally like, fix your moveset, turn heel, get a manager.
Yep.
This is that.
This is
and,
that.
You know, from what I've heard, this is just like, that this is to introduce Roman so that now he's a heel and we get behind him and they're gonna turn him back to the biggest face in the company later on. Like, you know what? If it is just written like this and it stays this consistent, I'm not even fucking mad. You have me.
Yeah, exactly. And who better? Now, here's where I'm going to trip people out. I don't think Roman's going to win the belt here. Either that or Vince McMahon really hates The Fiend. I have to start buying up because why have The Fiend winning at SummerSlam just to drop it a week later? You might as well just kept Braun the champ and then just had him drop it. It would have made more sense.
That is true. I do think though that Roman's going to take it here so that they can build up The Fiend as the next big face.
Okay, but only way that it works is this. Only way that it works is if he pins Braun, since it's a triple threat match, and he doesn't pin The Fiend, okay, and then two, oh no, that's it. Yeah, that's the only way I can. Sorry, I thought I had two reasons, but I didn't. But that's it. That's my main thing. Is that if you're gonna do it, it's got to be Roman Reigns going over Braun. You can't have Roman Reigns going over The Fiend. Not if you're trying to book him as a strong babyface.
That is true. That does make you think, though, that if it does happen, what kind of babyface are they going to go with?
Yeah,
because I don't think Fiend is going to be a traditional babyface.
Well,
The worst way that they can go about this is making the Fiend a traditional babyface.
Well, what I've seen is this. What I think is going to happen is this. Is I think the Fiend's going to barely scrape by on the skin of his teeth. I think Braun's going to be involved in that finish. That's going to cause the Fiend to end up winning. Maybe Braun gets pinned again. Okay? It's going to set up Fiend versus Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions. Okay? Then you're gonna have Roman win strong, right? Then you begin the Fiend's build up as a babyface. And thanks for leading me directly into the next subject: the transformation of Alexa Bliss into basically Harley Quinn to the Fiend's Joker.
That's true with what they're doing with that Nikki Cross thing, and now she's changing. I actually really dig that. Like whatever they have going on right there, that cross writing of like the Fiend permanently fucking changed her. I dig that shit a lot. Actually, I am 100% with that.
Now there's a 50-50 with me on this. She's either going to be Harley Quinn to the Fiend's Joker, or she's going to be Harley Quinn to Braun Strowman's Joker. Because there's talk that Braun's going to be permanently heel moving forward. That's part of the reason why they had him shave his head.
Honestly, if they stick Alexa with him, that'll make it so much easier to digest. Because you know we've seen the bald monster heel how many times now?
Yep.
So seeing it with a diva that is actually like really fucking good in ring, I like that idea a lot.
And pardon my language on saying this, I mean no offense to anybody, but I ain't seen a white girl act crazy like this since Mickie James, and that was the role that made me fall in love with her.
Yeah, buddy. OG Mickie James. What is that, Mania 20?
Against Trish Stratus. What's up?
Yeah, buddy.
When she did the thing where she was dressing like Trish Stratus and she wanted to be the Trish Stratus super fan. Oh man, yeah, I love
and then
that.
When she did Trish's fucking taunt on the ramp. Oh.
Yeah, and I could see like something similar happening, kind of with the Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss type thing, but except that she's going crazy because of the whole Fiend thing. But yeah, I think that they're gearing her in that direction.
I like that.
Now, I would see it. Maybe you have him drop the title this week and begin the storyline with Alexa Bliss, and maybe you even have him and Braun join back up again as a tag team. And they're basically a New Age Wyatt family, you know what I'm saying?
That does beg the question, though. Like, do you think at any point they're going to bring Seth and Roman back together at all?
As a Shield, I don't think so. I think at this point they're ready to let the Shield kind of go. With John gone, I just don't think that they're going to want to go. Like, they may go a team up here, a team up there. You know what I'm saying? Where they find a reason to work with each other. But I doubt we're going to see anything long term like we saw with that last run with the Shield.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so too. I don't think in any way, shape, or form we're going to see the Shield or reference to in any type of permanent sense for a while. I think we'll see the whole, like, they're both heels and they're both going against these faces now sort of thing, you know? Yeah, I can see that as a one-off sort of thing, but I can't see anything permanent in the near future at all.
Hold on. I love how 4 out of the top 10, all right, 4 people out of the top 10 are WWE main roster stars, but this article in Forbes specifically says 2 of the top 3 wrestlers in the PWI's 500 are from AEW, which didn't have a national TV show until Dynamite began airing last October. With AEW in its first full year with nationally televised, it's not surprising that the upstart promotion, which has signed a massive TV deal in early 2020, featured Moxley, inaugural AEW champion Chris Jericho, and number 1 and 3 spots. What is little more shocking, however, is this year's ranking has a noticeable shortage of main roster WWE stars. There are 4 WWE stars, main roster WWE stars, more than any other company, and there's 5 WWE stars. Half the list is WWE stars.
Bruh.
Sorry, I'm just reading that line and I'm like, how does that make sense? Like 4 out of the 10, and then 5 out of the 10 are okay. but there's a noticeable shortage. I guess they're used to it being 9 out of the 10 people all being WWE main roster guys, I guess. I don't know.
I was gonna say, like, there's a shortage this year when there's literally twice as many than the AEW guys there.
Right.
Not even as a knock, but it's like,
well, there's 3
the
AEW
numbers.
guys. Yeah, well, no, there's 3 AEW guys: Cody Rhodes, Jericho, and the number 1 guy, Mr. John Moxley.
Rightfully so.
Are on. So you got three AEW guys, 1 NXT guy, and 4 WWE guys, and then 2 New Japan guys.
Okay,
So
go
WWE
from 10 to 1 then. Tell me who they are.
All right. So at number 10, of course, is the one and only, the phenomenal one, the face that built the face that runs the place, the one and only AJ Styles.
Okay,
at number 9,
I'll
surprisingly, is a guy who has not been seen on WWE television for a while now, and is the reason why Big E is having a singles push, Kofi Kingston.
Okay.
Number 8 is the Monday Night Messiah himself, easily one of the top in-ring competitors in the world today. Former WWE and Universal Champion, the one, the only Seth Rollins. Or Tyler Black, however you want to know him. Number 7 is the one and only American Nightmare, and former Bullet Club member, current The Elite member, Cody Rhodes. I cannot say, because I have not watched New Japan in a while, if this guy is truly still a part of the Bullet Club, but I know at one point he was. Was he not? The one and only Kazuchika Okada?
Okada is not Bullet Club. He is Chaos.
Chaos, okay.
But Okada is absolutely deserving of that fucking spot.
Yep. At number 5 is also from New Japan. I don't know much about him. You probably know a lot more than I do. Tetsuya Naito.
Absolutely deserving. Absolutely. He had one of the best years of his fucking career. I would say maybe, if the best of his career. He became a double champ this year at Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay. Nice. And number 4 is the current Scottish killer, the one and only WWE champion, Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
So, number 3 is Le Champion, the man who likes to sip on a little bit of bubbly, and the man who also still to this day will tell you to your face that he beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. Chris Jericho. Coming in at number 2 is the man that leads the Undisputed Era, the man who just got done teaching Pat McAfee what it's like to step into the ring with a WWE former champion, and also the husband of probably the lamest character in all of AEW, Dr. Britt Baker, the one and only Adam Cole. And finally, last but not least, coming in at number 1, the man who's had the hearts and the minds of every WWE and AEW fan, the AEW Heavyweight Champion, John Moxley. Slushy numbers.
Slushy numbers. Yes. As you could imagine, the very second that I saw it drop, and the very second I saw that John Moxley was number 1, I fainted just a little bit. Just a little bit. Went to the world of barbed wire and glass. But no, yeah. I can say confidently, everyone on that list within the top 10 has had an amazing fucking year, especially considering Moxley, Cole, and Jericho, who have had bangers left and right everywhere. Jericho leading the Inner Circle, which has become one of the most entertaining factions to watch in years. Jake Hager and Santana and Ortiz have done amazing there. John Moxley has had an extremely consistent amount of matches of very good quality in New Japan and in AEW. Nobody has talked about the fact that he is a double champion right the fuck now. He is AEW World Champion and NJPW United States Champion as we speak.
Nice.
And
yes, I forgot
Adam
he is
Cole,
that.
who for the most part has carried NXT. But yeah, he is. He's U.S. champion too. But I believe this is Drew McIntyre's first time being that high up on the list, and I think it's 100% deserved.
Yeah, I think that he definitely deserves to be up there. I am impressed by the fact, surprisingly, that the Fiend isn't up there, the current Universal Champion. Isn't this his second? Isn't it his second run this year? Didn't he win the belt from Goldberg, or didn't he drop the belt to Goldberg at Royal Rumble? So he came into this year as Universal Champion.
Yeah, I believe he started this year as Fiend.
Yeah.
Is he anywhere on that list?
No.
He's got to be at least somewhere. Really?
Well, yeah, he's probably on the top 500 list, but I'm saying in the top 10. No, he's nowhere to be found in the top 10.
Oh, okay. I'll find his place on the list then. But yeah, he's got to be there. That's surprising that he's not at least in the top 10. I'm willing to bet he's at least within the top 25.
Let's see. Where does the Fiend rank?
PWI Top 500 2020.
Okay, wrestling. Okay, they're all covering Jon Moxley being ranked number 1, but nobody's showing the whole list.
Really? The hell?
Yeah. I don't see the whole list. Yeah, you gotta try to look it up.
All right, hold me up for 5 seconds.
All right. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'm not finding it. Did you find it?
They just show what the top 10 look like, but that was for 2010. Yeah, nobody's showing no full rankings, so I don't know. I just know he's not in the top 10.
We'll find it off air sometime then.
So, but yeah, I there's not anybody on there that I disagree with. Like I said, I just notice normally in the top 10 at least, there's just about every champion from all of your major promotions. Normally, you know what I'm saying? So evidently they didn't feel the U.S. champ or Universal Champion deserved any. I guess Braun Strowman didn't deserve no rub, and neither did the Fiend. So who knows? Because like I said, the Fiend had a hell of a year. This is his second Universal title reign this year. So
yeah, Fiend had a really good year. I consider Fiend to be one of the best things they have going right now, honestly.
But all right. So, is there anything else you got a wrestler for the week for us here, brother?
That is it. That is it for me.
That is it for you. All right, well, that would be it for me as well, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of abbreviated episode, being that, we just did an episode on Monday. There wasn't too much to talk about. I feel like we hit most of the major subjects. So check us out. Oh, what's up?
Yes. Yeah, I was saying, it was definitely a shorter episode, but doesn't mean it's not bad. It was a good one. Get some good stuff.
Oh, I want to say, but be sure to, like I said, check out the other shows on the 40% Radio Network. Like I tell you guys all the time, Inspire Radio, Brick on Sundays, West Coast Bias, which you heard right before us if you were listening in. Now versus Then, you got Dirty Talk 101 on Mondays. You got Lip Gloss and Mics and Kings and Queens of Porn on Wednesdays. You've got Lady Miss Toy on Thursdays. Me on Friday this week with number one hits from the 90s, the year 1991, and let's see. And then on Saturday, you got Mr. Deacon's Experience, and then back to us here on Sunday. So, yeah, we got a lot for you to listen to. Keep listening in. Any last words for him, Alpha?
Oh, you know how it goes, my friends, my people. We will be back. Please be safe. We are no longer within the confines of Silent Hill down here, even if we are within the confines of lockdown. Keep yourself safe, my people.
For sure, for sure. Peace.